Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. This is Yoga Online with Via. It's Thursday and it's the 9th of April. We're going to have this class and all the other classes recorded and in a file for you to look at if you want to use them as a home practice. And let's get started. Everyone lie on your back with your knees bent and your head resting on a stack of towels or something to help you create a neutral cervical spine, not too tilted, not too tucked. Kathy has a mobility strip under her lower back. When she does that, it actually and anyone can do this if you have one. Some of you do because you're my ongoing students. You put something like this, or you could put a small blanket strip, fold up your blanket or towel to replicate a strip like this, put it under your lower back and press on it to create a little more stability for lower back. So I can see some people are going away to do this. I also have some of these if you're in Puerto Vallarta and are interested in them. I have some of them in my actually now defunct store. I'm going to say, because I happen to know that there are several of us, including myself, with lower back issues today, I'm going to annotate the class with remarks about how to get some relief from lower back pain or discomfort. So that's one comment. And let me say that there's another thing Kathy could do is she could raise her butt up a little bit with a towel or a blanket or something. This is a different strategy. This strategy changes the curvature of the lumbar spine. That's probably going to be too high, Kathy, but it does give you an idea. You could put a towel or something thinner. You could put another mobility strip there, but it would be a different function. Just so you know, that's what happens sometimes to us. There, now take it down a little bit. So yeah, so the first one is creating stability because she's pressing into it. The second one is changing the curvature of the lumbar spine and maybe creating some relief for the lower back. So that's another tip. We're going to go ahead and start with vagus nerve reset. So go ahead and bring your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers. Just cupping the occipital ridge, the base of the skull in your hands. Elbows wide. If this bothers you, if it's too much to have your elbows up like this, you could either put a towel underneath each elbow, or you can put your hands at your side for this one. We're going to do vagus nerve reset, which is my favorite simple, quick answer to stress reduction. So without moving anything, your hands are there actually to keep your head still, without moving anything except your eyeballs. With your eyes either open or closed, shift your eyeballs to the right and wait for an involuntary sigh, swallow, yawn, or gulp. This is not something you create, you just wait for it. If you haven't done this before, you may need to practice before the volunteerism of the nervous system kicks in for you. Come back to center. Shift your eyeballs to the left. Wait for a swallow, yawn, sigh, or gulp. And when that happens, or even if it doesn't, after 60 seconds, There's someone who, I'm not going to admit them. Go ahead and come back to center. I have someone who is waiting, who calls themselves Yoga Strong, which makes me, well, I will admit them and see what happens. Because I'm going to say, I'm going to ask, please tell me your name. Because, there's been this this problem with people coming in. Okay. So repeat this again. Shift your eyes to the right. Wait for a swallow, sigh, yawn, or gulp. Come back to center. Shift your eyeballs to the left. Stay here and wait. Do this one more time. If anyone's interested in knowing more about this vagus nerve reset, just tell me in a chat or an email, and I'll send you a book that's very interesting about the power of the vagus nerve, and which the basic exercise is this movement that I've just asked you to do. Okay. Let's stay in this position because we can, and press the occipital ridge into your clasp hands. Press and wait. And press and wait. And press, wait, and release. Your nose should drop, your chin should drop, but not because you dropped them, it's because you've pressed in, you've created some resistance at the base of the ridge, the occipital ridge. This is a movement that actually helps with your posture and text neck and a number of other things. And one more. It also opens up and releases the neck and shoulders. Go ahead and bring your hands down by your side. We're going to do some breath work. Just starting with paying attention to the breath. that you came in with, native breath. And moving to an extended exhale breath. So inhale, count the length of your inhale, and then on your exhale, try to extend the exhale longer than the inhale. So inhale, maybe it's 1, 2, 3, and then exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, or longer. You can work on this. You can get it up to the breath, exhale up to twice as long as the inhale. It's called extended inhale, extended exhale breath. Bring your hands and put them around the bottom of your rib cage, fingers up and thumb down toward the mat. And rib cage breathing. So take an inhale and notice, breathe at the rib cage. And notice the expansion at your fingers on the inhale. And then exhale, it retreats. The hands are just so you can notice. But notice also the expansion of the breath front to back. So inhaling, expanding the rib cage and the lungs and the diaphragm moves to. The diaphragm flattens actually, but the lungs expand. And return, and one more of those. And then go ahead and make claws with your fingers and start to dig underneath the rib cage. I like to do both hands on one side. The rib cage, starts a little high and then it comes down, and you're digging into and underneath the rib cage so that you can release and massage the diaphragm, which is a very important respiratory muscle. And sometimes it gets stuck with the connective tissue around it. So you're just going to poke and pry with your claws. And you can either do one hand on one side and one hand on the other, or you can actually put both hands on one side, doesn't matter. But you're going to do it from the middle all the way up towards the sternum, and then all the way down around the bottom to the very outside side body. And take your time. This is something that you could do while you're watching TV, watching Netflix. Helps with breathing. I spend a lot of time on breathing. I always have, but especially now when we're facing a pandemic of a respiratory and lung related disease. Good to keep everything healthy, the breath, the lungs, the diaphragm. Now go ahead and place your hands underneath the rib cage, the claws, and take an inhale. And your diaphragm will probably pop your hands at least a little away, maybe all the way out. depending on how big your breath is. And then exhale, and the hands go back underneath the diaphragm. This is an exploration of the diaphragm where it meets the rib cage. And let's do a little more breath work, but it's also core work. This is called hypopressus. A lot of Pilates and yoga teachers are adding this to their repertoire, including me. Go ahead and toes up toward the ceiling. So you're lying on your back, like Kathy has, knees bent. The heels are on the floor, but the toes are up toward the ceiling. So dorsiflexing the feet, ankles. Arms up as if you're hugging a tree, and then flip your hands towards the ceiling. See if you can find a little bit of activity here in the shoulders, pressing the scapula into the floor and the hands towards the ceiling. And I take 3 breaths. So inhale. You're going to take 3 breaths and then hold your breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Hold your breath out, no breath. Spread the rib cage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And inhale and exhale. I want to let you know that there's someone who is waiting in the waiting room. This is about security, but if you know of someone who called themselves, you know how you can put your name in. They call themselves Yoga Strong, which is our password. So that's not a name, that's not Kathy Hampton, that's not Yoga with Via. So it's a little suspicious to me. So I let her in and I asked her, or it, whatever, and asked her what her name was, and she didn't answer. So I put her back in the waiting room. I've asked her what her name is, and no answer. So I'm thinking I'll remove her at some point, just so you know. That's how security is working these days. Let's do another hypopressive. Go ahead and extend your legs and your arms overhead, arms overhead. So extend your legs, cross your right ankle over your left ankle. Extend your legs, long legs. There, good. Extend your legs, right ankle over left. Take your arms overhead, palms stacked. So the left ankle is over, but the right hand is on top. And straighten your arms and bring them behind you overhead. So the left ankle is on top, but on the arms, the right hand is on top. That's right. We're going to do 3 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more breath. And hold your breath out, no breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale and exhale. Other side. Cross your left ankle. So you cross your left ankle now, because you crossed your right ankle last time. Kathy? Oh.
Left.
Yeah, left over right. So we were, oh, you did your right before? I don't think so.
No,
You did your right before.
Well, just do the opposite one.
Do the opposite one. Kathy and I are confused. Do the opposite one. And then at the top, so if you are doing your left ankle over your right, then your right hand is on top. The opposite hand is on top. But when you're stacking your hands and bringing your arms overhead. So it's just a big old stretch here, and 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale and exhale. Hold your breath out. No breaths. The rib cage spreads. The belly scoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale and exhale. Shake it out. If you want to shake your hands out, your legs out. We're going to turn over anyway, roll over onto your stomach for a crocodile breathing and a couple other prone positions. I wanted to say one more thing about lower back. If you're having lower back trouble and it's hard for you to get to the floor, you might want to do your practice on a bed or a couch, because you're halfway. It's only halfway down. So go ahead and rest your head, cross your arms, fold your arms in front of your head, and rest your head. This is called crocodile resting pose. And I want you to breathe into your belly and your rib cage and the back of your lungs. So the advantage to breathing without not lying on your back when you're breathing is that a lot of the lung that we feel is at the back. And if you're lying on your back, it may restrict your breath there. So a lot of the, so breathing here and making sure that you're aware of breathing into your back. And just a couple breaths here. So this is one of the things people are talking about in terms of, there's lots of talk about breath on the internet, breath and COVID-19. But one of them is to be sure to breathe, spend some time breathing with your back untethered. So I suppose if you breathe on your side, or you breathe seated or standing with an awareness of breathing into the back of the lungs, that would work too. But this is a great way to do it. Couple more breaths. And then come up into a sphinx, a yoga sphinx, which is I also call it elbow propping. The elbows, this is another breath pattern, but it's also works with the back. Do not go up, limit your back extension if it bothers, change your shape a little bit if it bothers your lower back. So your elbows are directly under your shoulders, and you're pushing away from the floor and creating a hammock with your upper back, and breathing. Again, breathing into the upper back. This is a great breathing pose because it creates more space for the diaphragm and the lungs than any other pose we have. So great pose. Hope maybe you can do it while you're watching TV. And just stay here and take a couple more breaths. If this is bothering your lower back, you need to adjust your stance a little bit to take it out of the lower back. And then come on down to the floor again with your arms out in a T. Arms in a T. Shoulders, arms, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands stay on the floor. This is an opening for the upper back called, it's a thoracic spine twist. Your head can be, doesn't have to be face down. It could be sideways, one direction or another. Lift your right leg and take it across, hover it and take it across towards the left, behind the left leg. And keep your shoulders and your arms on the floor. Believe it or not, this is an opening for the upper back. I love it, actually. And it will be very small in the beginning if you're just starting. And let me say, with reference to lower back, that when you open your upper back, it will help your lower back. Because a lot of times the lower back is taking too much, is doing more work than it's supposed to do. And that's what creates the pain. And the upper back has stopped doing its job. And so if we can get the upper back to release and be more mobile, and this is a pose that does that. Come on back to the other side. Left leg up and over. Your hips can move, but your shoulders and your elbow and your wrists stay on the floor. Keep breathing. Make sure your armpits are on the floor. Come on back and do this one more time, one more set. Right leg. Breathe. You can breathe into be aware of breathing into your lungs, in the back of your lungs. Take some breaths and then switch sides. And come on back. Roll over onto your back again, supine. We're going to do some basic hip and pelvic work that will be helpful for the lower back, I think. The first thing we're going to do is practice moving the pelvis in its 6 available directions. I think, Kathy, you probably should leave your mobility strip off. So lie on your back, feet flat on the floor. Just notice, I'm going to ask you to move your pelvis. Think of your pelvis. It has 2 sides to it, right? It's a little bowl, kind of a shallow bowl that a bunch of muscles and organs sit in, by the way. And the first thing you're going to do is tilt it forward and backward. So put your hands, your 4 fingers on your ASIS, which is that bony landmark that's right at the front of the pelvis. And that might help you feel this movement. So you're going to tilt the pelvis towards between your legs. So the pubic bone goes between your legs, and the back of the upper portion of the pelvis comes away from the floor. You feel a little more space at your lumbar spine, and then you return it. So pubic bone comes towards your face, and the upper part of the pelvis comes towards the floor and flattens. The curvature, lumbar curvature flattens. And just play with this for a couple of times, noticing that the pelvis moves separately from the sacrum, the spine, and the hips, the thigh, the femur. So it does when we practice doing this. A lot of times people end up moving everything, all these body parts instead of just one. But we're trying to practice purity in the movement and just tilt back and forth and make it a movement of the pelvis. These are 2 of 6 directions of, this is Feldenkrais, I think, or no, it's somatic movement. Anyway, I borrowed this from somewhere. I mean, not that it's not similar with some other stuff I've done, and there's a Pilates series that also is similar to this. Stop your tilting and put your hands, your thumbs on the top of the side of the pelvis. This will be on your side body, at your waist, actually. There, and you can, if you can find that bony point, and then do hip hikes. So you're going to hike the right pelvis up towards the right armpit, and then reverse and do the other side. Hike the left side of the pelvis up towards the left armpit, and hike and hike and hike. And breathe and breathe and breathe. Left, right, and left and right. Keep it, keep the movement in the pelvis. Imagine the movement that you're doing. So that's the second set. The last one is put your hands back on your ASIS and drop the pelvis. So the right side of the pelvis drops to the right, and the left side will lift, and then repeat on the other side. Left side drops. So the trickiest part here is to have, not to add a hip hike when you do this. So make it pure as you can and drop to one side to the other. And just know that this is going to be make a huge difference on your hips. And the slower you go in any of your movements, the slower you go, the more you embody the movement and train the brain to use the movement. We've spent a lot of time compensating for injuries and structural differences in our bodies. And we're trying to return here in this practice to something that is moving the body the way it's supposed to move. So this is a pelvic rotation. We'll do a hip rotation in a minute. Go ahead and allow the pelvis to rest. We're going to work with the hip and do leg lifts. So the leg lift is a movement that happens at the head of the femur, where it meets the pelvis, the acetabulum. And you're going to just lift your knee up to a 90-degree angle, and then take it back down. So think of the movement as happening at the hip joint. And repeat this very slowly. And up you go. These are called leg lifts. And Imagine what's happening at the hip joint where the head of the femur meets the acetabulum, and make it as slow as you can. One of my students who had come with a lot of hip issues did this series, the pelvic series we just did, and then this leg series, and she reported dramatic results after the first class. Go ahead and switch sides. So leg lifts on the left. In adding your breath and awareness of movement and awareness of breath. Slow it down. And stop your movements. We're going to do knee drops. So maintaining the same position, just open your right knee out to the side, slowly with awareness. If you start to engage the muscle that's at the crease where your hip meets your pelvis, that is, you've gone too far, because this is an abduction, adduction. So the inside and outside of the thigh is what you're using here. And the psoas is which is what you would be using otherwise, or other hip flexors, is a flexion extension movement, which is the movement we just did before. But now we're doing abduction, adduction, and it could be small. In the beginning, when I first started trying this, I was using my hip flexors a lot, and I had to make the movement really, really small. Later, it can get bigger, and the slower it goes, the more likely. Something's happening here. I'm going to mute you, Kathy. Okay, the slower you go, the farther you'll be able to go. Adding awareness of breath and awareness of movement. Go ahead and switch sides. Knee drops to the left. And the next thing we're going to do, which is actually great for the back, but you might need, I'm going to give you a few minutes. I'm going to go to the door and close my door because I just heard a noise in the hall. But I want you to get a strap in case you need a strap. If you have one, a bathrobe strap is fine. A yoga strap is great. I'm going to give you a minute to do that while I go shut the door. Okay, we're going to do a rocking figure 4. Not everyone's going to use a strap, but if you cannot, this require, well, I'll cue it with Kathy here. Lie on your back, same as supine, just the way you were, and take your right knee towards your face and cross your left ankle over. So that's a figure 4. And then this is the part where you might need a strap. Go ahead and hug, take your hands through and hold on to the back of your left, not your left thigh, not that one, the other one. There, perfect. So this is where you might need a strap. So good. So what you're going to do here is, so you're holding onto your left thigh and pulling that thigh towards you as you use your right elbow to press your right thigh away from you. You can have your head down or up. If it bothers your neck, don't have it up. But otherwise, you can, and you start a rocking movement. So you're pushing and pulling and rocking. So while the left knee comes forward, you pull it forward, the right knee is pressed back by the elbow. You can lift your head and create a scoop in your belly if you want. And then come on back. So it's back and forth. It's a back and forth movement. Do this slowly. You should feel some a nice stretch along the outer hip on the left. This is a Kihara resistance stretch. It's great for sciatica. It's great for lower back. Stretching out the buttocks and the glutes and the sciatic nerve, creating space for the sciatic nerve. You don't stretch a nerve. Stretch the muscles around the nerve. So, Kathy, go ahead and use your hands, because most people will be using their hands, I think. And see if you can pull and push at the same time. So this is the resistance is the pulling and the pushing. Go ahead and switch sides. Pull your right thigh towards you while you push your left thigh away with your left elbow. That's the movement. And so sometimes your hands are winning and sometimes your thigh is winning. You're always resisting. This is a resistance, Kihara resistance movement. I think I have a video of me doing this pose. If you're confused about this, I have a video of this on my website. Go ahead and finish that up and come up to standing. And find a chair or a wall or a shelf or a counter or a railing. We're going to do some squats, but you're gonna find something, unless you want to do them without a support, without the support of a railing or a wall or a shelf. Counters are perfect for this, and bookshelves also if you're not going to pull them over on you. So that would not be, I would not want that to happen on my watch. So you're going to stand up, hold on to a chair. If you use a chair, push it into the wall so that it's not going to move on you. So hold on to your shelf railing, etc. And then from there, hold on. You're going to hold on to both. Your hands should be at the same level. Now go ahead and take your butt out to the back, to the side, and to a squat. So supported squat. So in an ideal world, Kathy's arms would be at the same level, I think. But she may not be able to achieve that on her bookshelf. So, and then come down as far as you can. It's going to look different for everybody. So supported squat, and then come back using your core and your thighs. So come on up to standing, take a breath, and then come on back down. So supported squat. Make sure that the buttock stays well behind the knees. Feel length along the back. This should feel wonderful for the lower back and the whole spine. Let's do 3 more of those. I should check on people and see how they're doing. Now, if you're an athlete with a rigorous program where you're already doing squats uh, without a support, go ahead and do that. Although, by the way, this is a supported squat is a little different squat, and I think it creates a lot of nice length in the upper back and the lower back. And now find a or work with the same support you had, a railing, a counter, a bookcase, and do some wall push-ups. And I feel the same way about these. If you want to, you can do a floor push-up, but I like wall push-ups. Come on back, Kathy. You're going to have to create, you want to create a straight line angle between you want to be able to lean into the wall. And I would bring your legs a little closer together, but that's just from looking at you. So keep a straight line on the spine. So there's a, and then just come up, push up, and you can try this on various at various levels. So you could be the back of your couch, but you have to be sure that you have something stable. If you have a chair, the chair needs to be, like a dining room chair, it needs to be pushed up against a wall or something. Because otherwise you're going to lose the stability that you've created for yourself. Slowly back and forth. And the last thing we're going to do, also against some sort of a shelf or a wall, I think this might be better against your bookshelf, I'm not sure, Kathy, is go ahead and walk away from the wall or the bookshelf or the railing, an arm's length and a little more. And so more an arm's length and maybe another foot. And now I want you to fold forward at the hips, flat back hip hinge, folding forward. And then at some point, the arms go out, and maybe Kathy's going to need to start over again and come a little closer. So come a little closer. Hip hinge, arms extend, and you want to find a flat back here, a big stretch along the spine. This should be really good for lower back, and a stretch in the armpits. And just stay here. You could bend your knees and unbend them, get a little more stretch, and back and forth. Come on up. How you would, how I would have cued you had I done it is I would have said, walk towards the wall or the bookcase. Walk towards the bookcase and walk yourself out of this. Walk, 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 and then come up. Everyone find your way onto the floor for the closing yoga nidra meditation, 61-point guided meditation. You may want to cover your eyes with a washcloth. You may want to cover your body with a towel. You want to be warm and comfortable. I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to stop the video, my video, walk you through a 61-point guided meditation that was developed by Swami Rama of the Himalayan International Institute. You can extend your legs or bend your knees. Start observing your breath. And now bring your awareness to the center of your eyebrows, center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, right shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, left elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, right knee, right ankle, right big toe, third toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, left hip, left knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your eyebrows. That completes the 61-point guided meditation. Start to notice your breath. Extend your legs if they're bent. And stretch your arms overhead. Try to create a little bit of space between your pelvis and your rib cage. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Right side, left side. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. Hug your right knee to your chest and your left. Rock your knees from side to side. This is a great lower back relief movement. Roll towards me, towards the camera. Take your bottom arm and rest your head on your bottom arm for a minute so that you can wait to get up. And then use your right hand to bring yourself up to seated. Find a comfortable seated position. And bring your hands to your heart. I'm going to unpin my video, but I can't do that for you. Bring your hands to your heart and bobble or nod your skull over C1, the top cervical vertebra. We're going to close the class by saying to each other, I'm going to unmute you all this time, so hold on. By saying to each other, Namaste.
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 Everyone.
Namaste.
Thank you. I'm going to I'm going
Thank
to stop,
you.
I'm going to stop the
Thank you.
recording.